What is the story of the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow? Stay tuned after this. What's up, Graysonreport, and how are you doing? I have this cool little article. I've always been fascinated with stories, and this is no different. It is on All That's Interesting, and it is the chilling history behind the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. I know there was a film, and there also was a TV series about it, but I've always found it fascinating. It is such a cool story, so let's dive in. Was the fearsome Headless Horseman from the legend of Sleepy Hollow actually inspired by a real-life soldier who was decapitated during the Revolutionary War? American history's most enduring ghost story has nothing to do with ghosts, nor does it involve ghouls, goblins, witches, vampires, zombies, demons, or any other classic monster of the horror tradition. Instead, the story simply has to do with a quiet little town called Sleepy Hollow, and the spooky stories that its residents tell about a shadowy figure known as the Headless Horseman. Written by Washington Irving and published between 1819 and 1820, the legend of Sleepy Hollow tells the tale of Ichabod Crane, a gangly Yankee schoolteacher who finds himself in the titular town, a small hamlet just north of New York City. There, Crane is enchanted by two things: wealthy heiress Katrina Van Tassel and the scary stories told by locals. As Irving described it, Sleepy Hollow is a peculiar place with an uncanny character. A drowsy, dreaming influence seemed to hang over the land and to pervade the very atmosphere, he writes. Certain it is, the place still continues under the sway of some witching power that holds a spell over the mind of the good people, causing them to walk in a continual reverie. Once in Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane is fascinated by the stories regularly told by town residents, even though they make his walks home each night deeply frightening. And of all the town's scary stories, the most terrifying involves a headless horseman who is menacingly described as commander-in-chief of all the powers of the air. The specter of the headless horseman haunts Ichabod Crane's imagination until one fateful autumn night, when he has an actual encounter with the terrifying apparition itself, a harrowing ordeal that leaves his exact fate uncertain. But where exactly did Washington Irving's idea for a headless horseman come from? Such a monster didn't simply pop into Irving's imagination as he was writing his story. Rather, its origins involved a fascinating mix of literature, history, and lore. Irving drew from poems, folk tales, his own fascinations with the area near the real-life town of Sleepy Hollow, located about 25 miles north of New York City, as well as real accounts from the Revolutionary War. The Headless Horseman might be a nod to a bloody monument during the war in 1776 when a German soldier, or Hessen, was allegedly decapitated by a cannonball in the area near White Plains and purportedly buried by a Dutch-American family in Sleepy Hollow. But wherever its origins, more than 200 years after it was first published, the legend of Sleepy Hollow remains as potent as ever. It's been retold in movies, plays, books, and more, and the actual town itself remains a popular destination for those still captivated by the story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. So, guys, what are your thoughts of the Headless Horseman, and what theories did you hear? I pretty much just know the story that Headless Horseman, basically what the article describes, and the movies, and there was a series called Sleepy Hollow as well. Kind of put it toward the horror side of it, which it is horrific. Thinking you're walking down a road and you see this headless horseman in the distance. I've always found it fascinating. It's something that I grew up with, and just wondering if you guys have any other stories connecting with it, and have you been to Sleepy Hollow? Comment below. And as always, I go live every Monday, Saturday, and Thursday, maybe Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be there or be squared, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Stay spooky and sweet nightmares.